Okay, so good evening, Ankita. Finally, we have you on the event. And before we get started, let me have the honor of introducing you to the audience. And I'm sure you must have gone through this multiple times because I'm going to take a good 4 minutes to introduce you and I've written. Right, an audience, please bear with me. It's going to be a long list of introduction. And pardon me, Ankita, if I'm missing a couple of important achievements of yours. Very, very envious. I hate to talk to somebody who has got so many credentials. It makes me feel intimidating. I'm going to end the day with some element of demotivation because of your credentials. Don't do this. Right? So we have Dr. Ankita Singh, Senior Vice President, Global Head, HR, Admin, Travel, IT, कुछ बचा नहीं है, of Cygnus Datamatics. But guys, absolutely impressive profile, a PhD in management, has taken the company to GPTW awards in a row for 4 years, CHRO of the year for 4 years from 17 to 2020, India Businesswoman Year Award 2019, multiple things. She runs an NGO, has keen interest in child education and development, is an avid photographer, an avid traveler, and also incidentally an avid book reader, regular speaker on forums. You go to LinkedIn. I don't know if the founder of LinkedIn is available there very many times, but you have her all across events, and she's managing everything along with her home. And on top of this, she has recently been awarded as one of the top 100 great people managers by Forbes India, a survey or a study done by the Great Managers Institute. Ankita, and she continued reading and learning. How the hell do you do this, man? I mean, Avenger, suna hu main. You see a real woman who's a Wonder Woman. How do you do this? And no exaggeration at all. Give me little input on this.
I think I have come across so many people, Rajri, who are doing it. And, you know, I think we spoke about this last time as well. And when you're passionate about few things, not just one thing, you manage to do everything parallelly. And be it about managing team or working or reading or studying, traveling, photography, I think each one of these have equal place in my life. And I don't think I'll be compromising with one of it or few of it. Everything will be as is. I think I'll be doing little bit of everything. When I did my MBA, I think people used to say, that you're a jack of all, master of none. I think that definition has actually come along, where I'm sure I'm trying to explore whatever interests me and just trying to do my bit in all these fields. And I'm actually enjoying, so no complaining, and I don't think it's gonna stop ever.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's get started. And this very interesting book we're going to talk about. And there were a couple of leaders who came and spoke about it. I have you also here. So before we get started, book and Ankita, how do these words go together?
I think you initially said that by chance an avid reader as well. I think yes, initially it was by chance because I've been a boarder throughout. So when I was in a boarding school, we used to either study, play, or read. There was no third option. We didn't have mobile phones or laptop or computers. So either you're studying in school, you're playing in the evening, or back in hostel, you're sitting and reading books. So that was the start. When I started visiting home, because he used to come just twice a year, my mom is again too much into reading, but more into psychology and mythology. So those were the two subjects. They were everywhere. In every room, I used to see 15 to 20 books on psychology or mythology. So while being at home, mom was busy, dad was busy. Being the only child, again, I was left with no other option but to probably explore. And then I realized that I got a little bit more interested in mythology, and that's where I picked up this habit of reading, and I started exploring Bhagavad Gita, Quran, Bible, and I just wanted to understand why these three, four books are separately written, what's the content, what they want to communicate, why it is so powerful for each religion. And that's how I started reading. But I was never a person who picked up the book and thought that I'll finish this book in
Mhm.
3 days. always wanted to read it when I actually wanted to, and I had a reason, of today half an hour or just one particular chapter.
mm, mm.
That probably prolonged the entire thing. Something which I could have finished in a week, it took me 2 to 3 months, and probably that was the push or trigger for me to get into a habit of reading. And since then, I think whenever my mom used to ask me, what do you want to read? I always used to tell her, can you get me those books of questions and answers, that why stars twinkle, or what is happening, what percentage of earth is water. So all those things that keep piling up, and reading always then became a part, it became a habit. I think I start my day. A lot of people, they last thing they look at is their mobile phones, and morning first thing is again their cell phones. To me, even now, the last and the first thing is a book. So it remained as is. Whenever I'm free, um, I have a book in my hand all the time. I'm traveling, not traveling. I'm here in at home or in office, airplane. You will at least see a book in my hand for sure.
Lovely, lovely. So tell me, this journey started very, very early, and you've been reading and getting certifications and courses and all that you finished over time. How did this reading as a habit help you evolve as a leader? What contribution has it significantly played?
I think it's unmeasurable. When I talk about self, I would say, um, be it a discipline or, as I said, it became a habit. So you know that you have to do one thing. You won't ignore something which is so great and it's helping you in a way. So I got into this great habit, I would say, and
Mm,
discipline got in, where I knew that 2 hours or an hour has to be planned, particularly for this habit of mine. Act of reading a book, very interestingly, you know uh, I would say it derived a very good connotation. In our daily lives, when we interact with a person, we start judging individuals, right, before even they can complete their entire story. We start interrupting, we start interfering, we start telling them that no, maybe you are not right here, or you should have done this in this particular manner. One thing that book has taught me is, no matter how judgmental you are, no matter how um, not so convinced you are, but you
mm.
have to complete the book.
Yeah,
You pick up that book with the title, you get attracted towards that book, you just take it up, but you finish the entire thing before you frame a mindset or
sure.
a judgment around it. So that's one thing which helped me with respect to that. Content of the books that I've been reading, I have never read fictions or actually novels. It's more about self-help,
Mm,
management,
mm,
or mythology. I
mm.
think content has helped me um, amazingly. I have become more acceptable towards newer and different perspectives.
Yeah.
Instead of just simply thinking that I'm right, I have got into that mode where I understand and I accept that no, probably I was wrong. And if at all it's not about wrong or right, I have understood that there could be better ways as well. And that's the mirror that is showcased to each one of us through books. So it has tremendously helped. I think as a leader, also as a team member, or just as an individual who exists in the society, I think books have a great role to play in my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it just expands you as an individual, amplifies your thought processes. I mean, what you said so right. It makes you a far more inclusive person in the community that we are living in, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Lovely,
absolutely.
lovely, fantastic, fantastic. So let's get into this book, which is "Start with Why" by Simon Sinek. Everybody loves this book. I think he brought in one of the most so-called complicated thought into a very simple concept. Tell me why this inspired you so much, Ankita, among so many books.
I think because of the extremes, Rajiv, because, as I said, um, whatever we do in our life, the smallest act,
Mm,
there is always unconscious or conscious why attached to it. We may not realize, we may not always ask that question, we may not always answer that question, but we may. There is a why, there is a reason.
mm,
And when I say extreme, I think start with why is the most basic basic and the most critical thing,
Hmm.
all there are. That's the simplest thing, why we are starting or why we are doing this. And the
True.
most critical, which is the last, if at all, whatever we did is a success or a failure, it is again because of why we did it or what was the purpose behind it. And as I initially said, when I got into this habit of reading books, I was more interested in why these things are happening around us, why we are doing it, why
Hmm.
on earth these things are happening, in universe these things are happening. So I always
Hmm.
why things are moving in this particular way. And that further amplified when I started getting into psychology or management counseling. So that was the reason why I got attracted towards this book, why I picked up this book this same month when it was launched. Um, to connect, in general, if I take an example, when we meet a person, we connect so well. What's the statement? What's the kind of statement we use? He's so much like me. So simple, straightforward, to the point, and real. I think that's what this book is to me. Title is when I read the title, I was like, this is what
Hmm.
this is what most of us do. And when I actually read the entire book, I think
Hmm.
it added more to my concepts and made um, few needed modifications to be done in my perspective. And I think it's truly inspirational because I can connect to the content every day. It's
Right.
not that those 8 steps or 10 steps or 15 steps, which
Hmm.
are should be done in a phased manner, one after the other.
True. True.
This part of the book can be picked up at any point of the day, and
Yeah.
that will still stay relevant for that scenario. So
True.
that's
True. 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 Any page can be picked up and you can start off. You're very right. You don't miss a story in the earlier version that you need to necessarily know. Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So he talks about a very simple statement which all of us have heard, and let me hear it from you.
Mhm.
He said there are two kinds of people. There are leaders and there are those who lead. And you have been a leader yourself and you've been leading people. How do you interpret this?
True. I think leadership by position, obviously, what he means in the book is obviously people can be leaders by position. So you get to manage or lead a team. And at the same time, not necessarily you have to be at a level or a position, but still you manage to lead and inspire people. Because I have read a lot of books on mythology, I would just relate it to it. I'm not saying who is wrong, who is right, but I'm just placing a perspective. So when you talk about Ram of Ramayan, he
Hmm.
was a leader. He was a leader by position. I'm not saying he didn't do the right things. He
Yeah.
instructed. He told Hanuman, he told Lakshman, he told Vibhishan. Everybody he said, this is what has to be done. This is how we
Hmm.
have to done things.
Correct.
Because the kind of resources he had, he knew that what's their limitations, how
Hmm.
they have to handle. So I would not say Ram was wrong, but at the same time, he was a leader by position,
Hmm.
which is a good thing needed at that point in time. And
Hmm.
that's what we were when I go 20 years back with
Right.
respect to management organizations as well.
Hmm.
When things were more mechanical, when these so-called human skills were not so much talked about.
Hmm.
But when we talk about current scenario, I think it has to be more like Krishna. Krishna was in Mahabharata. He was also a leader,
Hmm.
not articulated, he managed, he controlled everything. But he
Hmm.
knew that he has best of the people with him. There's
Correct.
nobody who can compete against Arjuna or Yudhishthir in few things. But he knew how to handle Yudhishthir. He
Hmm.
knew how to handle or how to motivate, how to guide Arjun. So that's what I would say is the difference. Situation matters. At the same time, your
Hmm.
team competency level too is important. Leader will always be there by position. You may not use it properly. You
True.
may use it properly. So we can't generalize that leaders by position are not great. They are equally great if they are doing it well. Lead people who are not leaders as by position, but they are still leading and inspiring. I think it has to do more with the intent and the purpose of your existence, where
Right.
you're there, you're watching everything happening around. It's more like a game. You know what your players are doing, but you are right outside the field and you're still guiding them, you are telling them, but you can't play with them. You're not playing with them, you're
mm,
not distracting them, you're not
mm, mm.
trusting them, but at the same time you are ensuring that whatever you say, they are able to understand, accept, and connect, and they can use your given knowledge in probably the perfect manner to win their game or race
Mm.
on the basis of their own capabilities.
True, true. I think an example of Rama and Krishna was very different because both come from a different yuga completely, and the context in which leadership played changed, right? It's not just 1 or 2 years, complete yuga. And I think the characters of Vibhishana, etc., were very different in that yuga, and the way it moved on to the Karnas, Yudhishthas of the world, the context was very closer to what we are probably in our yuga, right? So it probably needed more of democratic leadership, a little more of somebody who can motivate, have a conversation, allow the other person to think, and all that Krishna did, which Rama didn't have to do because उस जमाने में उन्होंने बोल दिया तो बोल दिया. But I think
Absolutely, Rajiv, a very, very valid point. But one more thing which I would want to add whenever I have interacted with a lot of people these days, one thing is very beautifully presented that even a 50-year-old person uh, may, there is a possibility that his or her thought process
hmm,
would be very much as of, a millennial, the
true,
people we have now. And there are few millennials who would still be comfortable with what we were doing 20 years back.
possible.
So, leadership or a person who is at a position who can lead or inspire individuals, he
Hmm,
has to or she has to categorize or it has to be more personalized. Nothing
true.
in today's world can be generalized. Whosoever you are interacting with, an individual, a group, or organization, each and every entity has to be considered separately, differently. You have to know their shortcomings, at the same time strengths, and you have to draft and plan your leadership skills or your approach according to them,
Hmm,
no matter which yug you are from or which yug they are from. It
hmm.
has to, it has to be synchronized well, looking at the composition of your team or the member you are interacting with.
Yeah, personalization becomes absolutely important, isn't it? True, true. You're very true. I think one of the reason why Apple as a product today stands out is because they could bring this element of personalization so strongly that Steve could do. People started looking at phone not just as a phone, but as a jewel that they can pride about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even now, I think people, Samsung is, I think, in few ways far better in approach, lot of features. But when you talk to a person who holds an iPhone, that individual will just say, "I have an iPhone."
Yeah,
Full stop. Why would
absolutely.
it talk about feature? It's more like a brand, and people
Yeah, yeah,
that they have trust and
absolutely, absolutely. And when leaders do that personalization with their teams or individuals, I think they create a brand of themselves, right? And we have seen followers following such people and moving across organizations because for them, that one individual mattered who led them. They may not have seen the person as a leader, but they knew that they were led by this person. Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to talk about the next one that Simon speaks in this. I think I come from a total quality management space, having led the learning and development for an automobile giant for their domestic and international business. So for me, processes, design are all very, very important, right? And he brings in a very lovely element saying fit by design and not by default. How do
yeah.
you interpret this from a leadership angle?
I think you added so much needed component that design is everything. I think design is planned. Design is more about intent. Design is more about vision. So you know where you are headed. So design in literal term is where we want to go, what we want to do. We literally have it right in front of us.
Yeah.
Default is probably you start with a little low on intent. Maybe it's a short term fit, but you are actually not thinking where you are going probably after a couple of months or after a year. You would say we will see,
Hmm.
or things will fall in place. So
Hmm.
design will always be a better approach, Rajiv, because as I said, it has a purpose. It's a thoughtful approach where A
Great.
to Z of a process is very well articulated, very well planned, very well tested before it's implemented.
mm,
Um, you know, um, it is more monitored and considered while planning as well. It's the intent of being perfect from step one. You know where you are headed, you know what you're doing. So to conclude, or to at least put it in a line, if a difference between a design and default, I would say, um, if at all, I will do what is needed.
mm,
And what I'll do what is needed is more of a design, and I
right.
will see what has to be done is more of a default fit. And
Okay.
when you're talking about leadership skills, and when you are handling a team, you have an ownership, you have accountability, not only about your acts, but about, for the entire team, for the entire
Mm,
group,
mm,
at a broader level, for the entire organization.
absolutely.
There you can't say we will see when we face it.
Mm,
As they say, it is always better to be prepared than to be in a repair mode.
true,
You
true.
can't fix things, and that's what I think design is. A lot of leaders at this point in time, even when we talk about COVID,
Mm,
we have started we have started repairing things when we
correct.
actually saw that crack happening.
Yeah.
But there are leaders who do not wait for that crack, or who do not wait for that drop to fix it. They
Mm,
actually keep that process on. They keep the design part on. And design, again, a lot of us have misconception that the design which is made at first, if it's thoroughly taken through, there is no need of changing it. And that's
yeah.
not the fact. Design has to be as per the aptness, as per the need of the hour. That also should be redesigned as and when required. But yes, the approach per se, it is more purposeful,
Mhm.
thoughtful, and from day one, you know where we are headed and what all has to be done with respect to reaching the goal. Yeah,
I
so
agree. I
that's
agree. I agree. I think from a context of COVID that you gave, one classic example that we can pick up from our political system is when the first case of COVID happened in Odisha. Naveen Patnaik was all guards up. He said, "This will end up into a big pandemic. Let me start taking my steps." And Odisha, the way it fought COVID and the kind of cases numbers being so low was absolutely, he had put in plans and things that other states started doing later on. Take my own city. Bangalore started as a very wise city. Today, we are the most maddened city. We are topping the chart in terms of maximum numbers because of the crazy system around. I think by design, you're always in the safest zone to play around because you know you've put certain things around that will help you stay on track, isn't it? Absolutely.
And when you talk about design, I think not only the best scenario, but we also take care of the worst scenario. We know that what would be the worst scenario and how ready we are for that. And I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
that's the base, and that becomes a solution for most of our problems.
True, true. I agree. I agree. So it's always good to be a leader by design. Sometimes leader by default, intuition or intuitive leadership is okay, but I think it works if you're on the other side, right? Beautiful. And probably, as I remember when you spoke about how did you end up getting so much and you started being on forums and panels and visibility. When I asked you, did it happen by design, by default? You told me that it started by default, but eventually it was by design and there was a purpose to it. And all your experience and knowledge kind of started coming out on multiple forums for others to pick and learn. So I think that's a great thing. Lovely. So he also talks about these two, which was very interesting when I first time read, was the word called innovative leader and a leader with a novelty. Now I had seen them, I've heard about these two words. You have seen many such leaders, but I think Simon brings them together beautifully. What is your take on these two? And what would be your recommendation to the budding listeners listening to you, Ankita, based on your experience?
So, Rajiv, innovation is again, a continuous journey. I mean, it will not stop. It should not stop, and it should not be taken in a phased manner. That maybe quarterly innovation is something that I should target for, or annually, one innovation should be good enough to show it to my team or to management or to myself that as a leader I did something differently. I
Mm,
think if you overthink when we talk about innovation, to me, innovation is something that is done to meet the need of the hour, keeping a futuristic and intuitive approach in mind. It's
mm,
a very simple concept.
mm,
But so I would say you don't have to do what others are doing because
Mm.
you're not part of the same problem statement.
True,
Your
true.
problem is different. You're dealing with your people who are so very different from what other people are dealing with. We can't just be adding new things because you have to be relatively, innovative. Just
Mm.
because different people are doing 10 different things, we also should be picking it up and doing it for our team members because they will
Mm.
also do the same. I don't think that's being innovative. It's actually not about doing things differently, but
Mm.
doing things aptly at the right time.
Right.
So right and timely solution, I
Mm.
would say, is the mix of royalty as well as being innovative. So
Mm.
something that you have tried and tested for your team members throughout. You
Mm.
know the basic composition. You know what is
Right.
helping. You know what is needed by the team. There is no reason to change it, no
Mm.
matter how the world around you is changing, because
Absolutely.
that's
It's working, it's
that's
working.
perfect. So that's the perfect fit. Don't touch
Middle.
that because the situation is changing now. When we talk about COVID, if at all, I as a leader, I was handling my team in a particular manner and everything was going great, but now the situation has changed and things are so uncertain. They want a different approach. Have I been able to get that part in my leadership style, if at all? Even if that's a smallest thing, even if they are just expecting that, forget about work, we are managing it really well. If Ankita has a time and she can just give us a call maybe on a weekly or a monthly basis and just check if I need something, if I am able to get that simplest thing in my leadership style, in my daily, chart, I think I am being innovative to the needed level. And
True, true.
that's what I would say. And like the previous answer, I said re is the key word. When you are a leader, when you are innovating few things, when you are sticking to the fundamentals, don't shy away from redesigning, reapproaching, relooking at the concepts that you have been practicing throughout.
Mm.
Something really helpful. Don't shy away from adapting, but at the same time as we you also, I think, just added in, till the time and as far as things that you're doing are perfect, there is no point in disturbing that, um, you know that design. You should stick to it. Innovation not necessarily should be seen in terms of numbers. If at all you have just passed 2 years and there's no innovation and you are as is, but you're still able to lead your team in
It's
a
okay.
very successful manner, just stick to it. That's
Absolutely.
perfectly fine. Probably you are innovative in that way itself.
True, true. I agree. I agree. There are organizations where innovation labs happens every 6 months. There's an urgency in them to start showing themselves as innovative organization. They do so much more. They must be having the benefits. I don't know, but I think what you said makes a lot of sense because it's a longer thing, right? It's not just about a quick fix for a problem that you have. It's about a purpose which is far more on the why circle of the very book itself, right? Very true. But I think on the journey of being an innovative leaders, it's also important, isn't it, for leaders to once in a while have some element of novelty to bring some kind of a newness, some kind of a small difference in the team.
It is, but as I said, see, when we come out with products and services, we have always spoken about clients, right? What the other person needs. So, according to me, being a leader is nothing more than a service provider, and you are dealing with your clients, which is nobody but your team member or your team members, a team. So, defining what you can do probably is a great thing at individual level. As I said, if at all I'm learning discipline, if I learn how to communicate well, if I learn how to empathize well, that's a good thing. There's no harm. Keep adding things. But at the same time, if at all I want to keep reinventing the process, wherein that's not the need of my team member or the entire team, I don't think that unnecessary pitch is required. I don't think that a change is dramatically, consciously required. You
Mm.
should think as a leader, you always have to serve the purpose. And if the purpose is being solved beautifully or served beautifully, um, I don't think a drastic shift should be made just to prove that point that थोड़ा तो innovative होना चाहिए, कुछ तो change चाहिए, जरूरी नहीं है. At least according to me, I don't think I have changed drastically in last 6 years. And as I said, I mean, when I tell my team members that we have to reduce the headcount, trust me, we were just launching a software, a tool, and I asked them, we need to test this. So just send a resignation mail so that I see if I get it right, if I
Hmm.
get it in my inbox. And they were like, fine, we'll do it, but don't accept my resignation letter. So I don't think I have changed a bit, but not a single person has resigned, forget about
Beautiful.
it,
Beautiful
recognize.
example.
And I have not changed. I don't think I've done anything which is different from what I was doing 6 years back. I'm just being normal and real, the way I was, I think, on day one.
Lovely, lovely. So it's all about innovation by need, not by force unnecessarily, just to throw a stone in a silent water and create unnecessary ripples. It doesn't make any sense at all, right? Beautiful. That takes us to the next question. Uh, they've been talking about this book. How do you see these three rings so powerful as a concept, Ankita, and how has it helped you in your own growth journey? Any
Uh,
instance, any thought that you would want to share?
um, See, again, I think like why, um, you get a purpose. So I keep taking example of GPS. You know where you are. That's
Yeah.
um, your position, and at the same time you know what's your destination going to be. So you put that destination, and then it starts showing you the path. So you know why you want to cover that destination, but it becomes equally important to understand what and how, what you
Hmm.
want to do to reach there, what you want to do while you are covering that journey, and how you want to reach there. All these definitions become really important. And I know the circle is very powerful. I mean, you start with a why, but you definitely have to take care of what and how. And I have always, I think I've recently written a couple of articles also where I have spoken about four W's and one H. So it's not only why, what, it's also about when and where, what you're
Hmm.
doing. So it's the entire chain that has to be covered beautifully. And to make it simple, I would just say, we keep dreaming. We always have a purpose behind our dreams as well, right? It's not a directionless dream.
Yeah.
So dreaming is defining why. It's more emotional, it's more close to our heart.
Hmm.
So that becomes the first step, and that's the most important step. As I said, that makes you dream. But it's equally important to understand how you will materialize that dream.
True.
What will you do? How will you do? How will you reach there? So, be it a smallest of act or a biggest of act, the entire circle probably becomes the initiator, the trigger point, the implementer, the core pusher, whatever you say, that becomes the foundation of
Hmm.
initiative. So that's really critical. And as far as my journey or my leadership style is concerned, I think whenever I interact with my team, whenever I talk about work, whenever I talk about
Hmm.
their development, I
Hmm.
think we start with why. Somebody who comes to me that this is becoming difficult, this is what we start with. I always tell them that that's perfectly fine. If at all you're not comfortable, or if at all you're too comfortable with something, ask that question: why this is happening, what should be done next, how
Hmm.
that should be done, and then come to me. It's not only about getting a solution statement to a problem, but it's about digging it really deep, just
Yeah.
to understand what you are part of, how much
True.
of you is already there, and how much of me is needed there to help you to come out, or probably go further deep and just to explore a little more and understand your capacity, capabilities, and challenges. So
True.
yeah, that becomes very, very critical and important part of
Absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've also realized over time, Ankita, that my own journey also like yours. Every time I get the answer to the why, and then my search for the why is quenched. I experience a push or a thrust to do it as against a gravity that pulls me apart. And I'm like that rocket that just zooms out and off the stratosphere and goes into the open space. I could do that because I'm loving it. Because my why is very, very clear. Until it's hazy and murky, you're still battling in your own head. How are you going to land it into the how and the what? It's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
And I realized that I think more of time that you invest in thinking and getting that inner circle clear seems to make the other circles easier for you. But that's my own reflection I've had over time. Of, I mean, I've read this book multiple times, used it for multiple interventions for C-level guys and other. But every time, this is the reflection I get.
So
True.
which is very practical, and I think that's what happens with everybody, and that's the reason I initially I said sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously.
Yeah.
We don't accept, we don't understand probably, uh, we just ignore or we don't even realize, but we always have that why factor somewhere sitting in our mind. And it's not only the push is not only for great things, it's not only why we should be doing this,
Mm.
we always have the push for why we shouldn't be doing this as well. So
Beautiful.
not only for great things, but for things where you have saved yourself, or for the actions that you have not taken in your life, for that also you always had a valid why, that why this is not good for me, why I should step out of it, why I should change the organization, why I shouldn't be talking to my boss like this.
True.
Is smallest and biggest thing of why and why not. Why is omnipresent, and few of us have realized it. And when we consciously know that we are thinking in a particular direction, we start capitalizing on it, and that's the reason you don't get that peace until unless you achieve that. And that's the reason your second and the third circle also becomes more clearer, because you're thinking in a purposeful direction, wherein when sometimes unconsciously we don't think so much about that why, we don't even reach to the second circle, because
Yeah.
it's always there. I have realized that I wanted to do a couple of things. Maybe after 2 years, I
Mm.
literally initiated that with a bang and was able to finish that task in hardly any time.
Mm.
Not why did I leave it 2 years back? There's no reason. It's not
Mm.
that I was not capable at that point in time. The only reason I could gather or I could understand was that probably it was unconscious. I didn't want to put in
Ah.
so much of effort, or
Mm.
I never thought about the other two circles.
Mm, 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 mm. In fact, I was just thinking, after so many years of being in the corporate space, now that I'm an entrepreneur myself,
Yeah,
the why seems to be far more important, far more stronger as an entrepreneur now, as against a leader holding such positions like you are holding in organizations earlier that I was. There's somewhere I probably became a little complacent or a little lazy कि अच्छा कंपनी का why तो is anyway taken care तो हमको थोड़ा ही why करना है. But the moment I'm running an organization and I know there's a purpose to it, the why is so strong. I can definitely see this huge shift in my own head. Yeah,
oh
beautiful.
yeah. But Rajiv, if you talk about millennials, ना ही तो उनके पास organization है manage करने को at this point in time, and neither they have a team to take care. But I think they are very particular about all their whys.
Yeah,
What am I doing in your organization? How will I add value? What will you do for me?
true.
If at all you want me to be here in your system for 3 years, why should I be here? What am I getting
Absolutely.
out of it? So it's. I mean, as you rightly said, it's also about the age. It's also about the era we are talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Also about the information that's floating around us, and we are more conscious about our moves. And yeah, I think things are changing. Why now is becoming much more important than
Yeah.
it used to be for people. And now I think even a 4-year-old, if at all you ask them to do a certain thing, the first question would be why you want me to do this,
Yeah,
why you
yeah.
want sit at a particular place. Fine, I can't watch. Screen time has to be regulated, but why? What's the reason? Nobody
Why?
is doing anything today without a
I
why.
know, I know, I know. And we need to have answers to that because when we were growing, asking a why to our parents was seen as a rebellious behavior.
Absolutely,
Whereas today, asking a why is seen as a curious behavior. It's a huge shift.
and people are more logical. I think when I was young and I used to say no to milk, my mom used to tell me, "पी लो, otherwise ये हो जाएगा." Now I have seen parents; they give logical reasons. They tell the actual stories. They are more prepared. They know that how it will impact these kids in future. Even as HR or as leaders, earlier we used to shy away or run away from answering all those questions.
Mm, mm.
Now, when we are talking about even laying off employees or anything that we do
Tough
in the organ,
decisions.
yeah, I think. So it's not only about that we keep sharing the bigger picture, which is a broader or unclear picture, which talks about just probably a
Mm-hmm.
we are more conscious about sharing whatever we are doing and why we are doing. We know that only when we share this why with our employees will be loyal, productive, and they will stay with the organization. So, importance of why directly, indirectly, consciously, unconsciously, it is taking a very important position in everybody's life, be it personal, professional, everywhere, to individual, to ourselves also. I think if at all I'm postponing anything or I'm doing anything, I am answering that why to myself as well.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for articulating that so beautifully. So I'm very conscious of the princess who's outside waiting for you, and the mom needs to go to her. So let me straight away dive to the last question, Ankita, and help free you of this conversation. It's a lovely, lovely chat. I don't want to end this, but I'm forced to do that for her.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you so
Such
much.
a powerful book, such a powerful learning. People like you, me, all of us have had, and you've had a fantastic leadership journey. If you have to ask you to distill all of that, filter all the learning you've had over a time and the accolades that you have built in, what are the two laser sharp advice that you would give to the budding leaders?
One of that I have already covered while I was answering one of the question. Never overdo anything. Always understand your people really well, because um, we cannot generalize anything. And not now. I don't think it was the right approach in the past. In future, for sure, no. When we get a call, so many people wish us a happy birthday on Facebook, and we feel happy. But when we get that one call from our boss, it gives a different feeling altogether. When we get a single call from our colleagues, it's a different feeling, and it remains in our mind and heart. We always remember, that individual, he or she called. So that individualistic approach is really important. Please treat individuals as humans. Do not generalize policies or processes or your approach towards a
Beautiful.
team or an individual. So when we say we interact with humans, I would suggest stay human. Treat them the same way you want yourself to be treated by your boss or your colleagues or your family members.
Yeah.
That solves 99% of our problems, because that's the biggest thing they need. They just want us around.
Yeah.
Most of the technical stuff they can take care. And second input would be never think that you have already reached that level.
Mm.
Every day will keep changing. We have to keep evolving with the changing time. We have to keep learning, and there is no pyramid that can be followed at this point in time. I think we learn from our bosses, we learn from the simplest books, we learn from our juniors, we learn from a stranger who we meet in flight. So don't close that window. Learn as much as possible. Keep investing in yourself. And as I said, never ever think that just because people are happy around me, I don't get a negative feedback. Nobody tells me how good or bad I am. Probably I am doing well. There's always a scope of improvement.
True.
Um, keep investing well in yourself, and keep upgrading yourself as a leader. And when I say as a leader, you just have to be a neutral, real human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
Brings out much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, the first one is so powerful, which Simon also talks in this book of winning hearts and minds, right? The word heart comes before the mind. The mind doesn't come before the heart. It's absolutely clear that it's all about managing human beings. And I read this very powerful statement many years back that just hit me so hard, Ankita, that it said, even in the wired world that we are living in, that one handshake matters the most.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So they very rightly said, no, we were talking about iPhone or any product for that matter. Who has actually used it? Why we still, most of us, why we still talk about toothpaste as Colgate? अभी भी हम काफी सारे लोग हैं जो शॉप पे जाते हैं और बोलते हैं Colgate दे दो.
Bilkul.
बैटरी में हम बोलते हैं हमें Duracell दे दो. Because those are brands. Those are not actually products, but we are still there because somewhere they touched our heart. They were the initiators. उसके बाद हजारों लोग आए.
Bilkul.
Why they are there? Because the journey was too hard. And when you are communicating a concept, people will come to you and buy your product or services later. but the
Absolutely.
connect is the purpose. आप खुद क्यों उस चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे हो? How convinced you are? It will
Yeah.
only be through your heart, not through your communication or not through your mind or through your
True.
body.
True. True.
So
True.
that emotion flow is important, and I think that's the reason we are human beings. That's the only wire that connects us. It's the
Absolutely.
emotion.
Absolutely. And the second point also was very powerful, Ankita. Thanks for that. Is lifelong learning, and what you said made tremendous sense to me. And thinking is that intermittent and a continuous self check that you need to keep doing on yourself. It's so very important. I think
Oh,
every day
I've
gives
learned
you a
it.
chance to keep doing that self check, isn't it?
Oh yes. I think when I joined Signex Datamatics, I started heading HR, and then suddenly I got an admin team and travel team and IT team. And HR, I had spent good amount of time, so I was very comfortable with them. And we had same kind of work. I was new to IT. I had to have a different approach because IT was completely new. I didn't even know I of IT, but people were to be managed. And that's when I realized that for 4 years I was so amazing with my leadership style that everybody was enjoying. I was thoroughly enjoying, and suddenly I started finding that there's some gap because
Mm,
the way I handle my HR people, it's not going to be same because my knowledge with respect to IT or travel or admin is way less than what these guys have with 8 to 9 years of
true,
experience. And I
true,
really had to accept that, boss, as far as technical thing is concerned, you are my boss. Wherever you get stuck, when you want to communicate something to leadership, when you want to get some kind of approval, trust me, I am there and you will never get stuck. So that is one thing which I learned. But in those 4 years, I considered myself to be a perfect leader, at least for my team. And that
beautiful.
suddenly, I think when situation is changing, when people are changing, additions or people are leaving, and even if nothing is changing, I think we still will have lot to learn and lot to implement, and that's one thing which we should realize, that we will never be perfect. It has to be learned and unlearned every possible day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ankita. That was a lovely conversation. I completely enjoyed, and I hope you also had a good experience talking on the Leaders Libraries event from Leadership Elements. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Amazing session. Thanks to you for moderating it so well, and beautiful concept, Rajiv, by you. And amazing concept. Actually, you made me go through the book once again. So thank you so much for all the great work you're doing and for giving this opportunity. All the very best.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine. I leave you to go and spend some good time with her. Please don't close this call and go back to your colleagues and start picking up the second call. Laptop बंद करो आप बेटी के पास दौड़ो.
My time is very well defined. I don't overwork, so I'll quickly go.
Do
Thank you
that. You
so
have a
much for your
lovely
time.
evening, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.